Hey, how's it going? And today I wanted to go over an older tutorial that I did on what an enumerator is or what an enum is in Unreal Engine. I stumbled upon what I think is a really great example of how to use an enumerator, what it is, and why it's important to understand what they are. What is an enumerator or an enum? It is essentially just a list of things. And what's helped me a lot is to think of it as a control switch that allows you to access a function by a name. I don't know why, but I struggled for the longest time to understand what enumerators were and why would we would even need to use them. It's one thing if you were like to try to create an enumerator yourself in code or with blueprints, but Unreal Engine comes with a ton of enumerators already in them, and so that's why it's important for you to understand what they are. They can be accessed not only by their name, but by their array index value. So the enumerators are stored in arrays, and then you can access the name or the function by the array index value, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So anyway, to show you how this works, let's just go into Unreal Engine, and I'm just going to create a really basic user interface real fast. So I'm going to click on the user widget here, and we're going to go ahead and dock this right up here, and then I'm just going to grab a canvas panel real fast, drag this onto the scene, and then I'm just going to go ahead and get a button, and I'm going to drag that right about here, and then I'm going to get some text for the button, and I'm going to put that there. And the text, for the text, I'm just going to use the angle bracket here, right there, like that. And on the button, we can go size to content, and we can call the button less. That's all we have to do for that. And then I can hit Control D and just duplicate that button. And then I'm just going to call this button more. And then on its text, we're just going to switch that to the other angle bracket like that. And then I'll close this up like this, and then I'm just going to, if I can, drag this button and put it right down here. And then all I need is some text, and I'm just going to drag that and put that right there. So that'll be our basic user widget, and then we'll go ahead and create it so we can display this. I'm hoping someday that Unreal Engine makes a node that just does this for us, so that we don't have to keep, because we essentially have to create 3 nodes every time that we put a widget up. So create widget, new widget blueprint, and here you can just go add to player screen or add to viewport, whichever one you want. We go, and if I hit play, you'll see we got a little widget right there. Okay, now the rest of this is just in the new widget blueprint in the code. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a variable, and if I come over here to variable, and I'm just going to call this enum, and if we click here on the variable types, there's a whole category just of enumeration types, right? And if I open it up, look how many there are. I never really looked at this before. I might have looked at it, but my eyes glazed over. But look how many there are. There's a ton of these in here. So there's all this functionality that we can access if you know that this is even there. But look how many there are. It's a whole world in here going on. But we're searching for one in particular that's called Windows mode. This one right here. So I'll just go ahead and select that, and I'll go ahead and make it instance settable, and I'll compile and save it. And this allows us to change the size of our window on our game. And so you'll see down here, here's the enum, the enumerators, and there's 3 options: full screen, windowed full screen, and windowed. And so by default it goes to full screen, which means that this has an array index value of 0, and this would be 1, and this would be 2. So we can essentially cycle through the numbers and cycle through our enums. Now each of these enumerators accesses functions within code within Unreal Engine that makes things happen, right? that either creates a full screen or a window screen. We don't have access to that code, but we have access to the control switch, and we have access to the name of the control switch. So then this allows us to make things happen, but we use enumerators because then it's clear what we're actually accessing. I used to think of an enumerator as a label switcher, but I realized it's better to think of it as a control switch that allows you to access functions by name. That's what it is. So anyway, we don't need any of these nodes, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. I'm going to go ahead and select my less button and then go on clicked. And here's where we just have to write the most code. So we're just going to go ahead and grab this enum. We're just going to get it. And here we're going to access its array index value. So I'm going to pull off of here and search for int. And this is actually converting a byte into an integer. But you can think of it as the array index value. And then from here, we're going to go subtract. And we're going to subtract 1. And then because we know we only have a range of index values from 0 to 2, we're going to go ahead and clamp this. So we search for clamp. And this limits the values that we can go through, 0 to 2. And now once we have that integer and it's clamped, we're going to go ahead and convert it back to a byte. And a byte, as you know, is 8 bits. So it's some sort of code in there. And so we'll search for byte here. And we're going to convert it back to a byte. And then once it's a byte, we can convert it back to the enumerator. So we're going to go set and then just plug this into there. And it will auto convert. And we then just have to plug this into here. So this will essentially decrement from 2 to 0, right? So this will go from windowed to windowed full screen to full screen. So on the more button, if we click this, and we'll just go pressed, here we're just going to grab this, hold down Alt, and left click and drag, and we can set this. And we're going to set this to the highest value, which is windowed, right? And so we just plug this in like that. So that will take it to the max, and this will decrement it. Okay, and then all we have to do is come into the designer view, make sure our text is selected, and then we click bind, and this is going to create a function that allows us to set the text on our text. And so here we're just going to go ahead and grab our enum right here, and what we want to do is go from get, and we want to get this as a string, enum to string. So we go to string right here, and then all we have to do is put the string into the text, and it will auto convert for us from a string to text. And that's all there is to it. So this is allowing us, right? This is allowing us to cycle through an enumerator, one of hundreds of enums that are available inside of Unreal Engine. A whole world awaits you of enumerators here. Look, it's so many. Let's see if this works. And I'll come up here and I'll hit play. It defaults on full screen. I click here, it goes to window, and then it goes window full screen, and back to full screen. And then of course I can't click anymore, and I click here, I go back to windowed, and then I can cycle through, right? So anyway, I hope you found this of some help and interest. Take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time.